What's up? How's it going? I got 5 grand right here. I've got $5,000 right here. $5,000 right here. For all these people who've been yakking about this burst and saying this burst is the greatest guitar ever, this burst is the greatest sounding guitar ever, nothing can touch it. I'm putting my money where my mouth is right now. I'm putting my money where my mouth is and saying, look, okay, any person, anybody in the whole world that can pick out a burst from other guitars in my sound examples, anybody that can pick them out, you can have this $5,000 right here. $5,000 right here. This is $5,000. You can have this if you can pick out the bursts in my sound examples. All you guys that think this, where's Tom? Mr. Poster Boy for Burst Believer Fever. Where is he? Joe Bonamassa. I don't care who you are. You want 5 grand? I'll give it to you. All you have to do is pick out the burst. That's it. Okay. First thing you have to do is subscribe to this channel. Okay. I'm not letting anybody enter who's not subscribed. So if you want to give it a shot, push subscribe right now and get in on the contest. That's all you have to do. You have to subscribe, then listen to the sound example and pick out the burst. That's it. That's all you have to do. It should be easy. See, let me just show you this. These people are running around saying, "Oh, well, it's such a magical guitar. It's the greatest guitar ever made." All you guys that are saying that, I'm praying that you show up. Praying that you show up to try to win this $5,000. Okay, take this $5,000 from me, Mr. Burst. All you Burst guys who believe this Burst is the best guitar ever, right here, take the money. It's yours. You can have it. All you have to do is pick out the burst. That's it. It should be simple. This guitar epitomizes what we all look for in a Les Paul, a 1960 burst, and shows you that they may all try, but will never truly capture the magic of the real thing. So all these guitars can try, right? In my example, but none of them can capture the real burst, like the real burst, right? None of them are close. They can't come close to it. They can't capture the magic of a real burst. Okay, well then just listen to it, pick them out, pick out your real burst. Yeah, 5 grand. That's all you have to do. So if this guitar is so magical, right? Your guitar is so magical, your burst is so magical, should have no problem picking it out. Should have zero problem picking it out. Okay. Now, let me just tell you about this contest. There's sound examples. Okay. Let me give you a hint. There's not just one burst in there. Okay. It's not just pick out one sound example, because you'd have I have 51 sound examples. You would have a 1 in 51 chance of winning just on random alone. So let's say 1,000 people got in there and just guessed, somebody might hit it. So I had to put more than one in there to just eliminate the randomness of just somebody getting lucky with a guess. Okay. So I'm going to give you a hint before you start this journey. There's more than one burst on there. Okay. Now, the burst is a golden era Les Paul that has double coil pickups. Okay, so 57, 58, 59, 60. That's it. And they all have double coil pickups. Okay, and I picked out guaranteed legitimate bursts for my examples. Okay, guaranteed legitimate bursts are in this sound test, if you will, this burst believer fever test, whatever you want to call it. And I'm praying that these guys who somehow believe that this guitar is magical show up and take a crack at this. Okay. And I just want to talk a little bit about this. You can skip ahead. I'll show you I'll put a marker as to where the contest starts if you just want to skip ahead and go there. But if you think about the tone of this Les Paul, where it became legendary, supposedly, right? Mythical, legendary. It's just another guitar. Okay. It's an old guitar. That's it. But where it became legendary was Eric Clapton on this Beano record. Okay. That's one of the ways it became legendary. Okay. Which, once again, is disingenuous because they say, well, the guitar is so great because Eric Clapton played it back in the day and got this Beano. Well, Eric Clapton has since moved to Stratocasters and been playing a custom made, the first ever signature edition Stratocaster made in the 80s. So he's been playing the same Stratocasters for what, 40 years now? So by using your logic of Eric Clapton played this guitar, therefore that's why it's really great. You'd have to say, well, Stratocasters are better because Eric Clapton has endorsed him and has a signature version of it. So the argument's already mute, but let's just go with it, okay? Let's just go with it. Your Beano tone. What did your Beano tone consist of? First off, it consists of a brain, a mind. It consists of a mind. And then it goes into your hand. So you have to think of this tone, the sound that you want. And then you have to bring it, you have to touch the guitar to get it, right? So there's two things. Now you have the guitar, right? This is the burst. So everybody goes, well, this burst, it sounds so great. He got this sound out of this burst, and it's because of this burst. This burst is so mythical and it's so great. It's not just the burst that you're hearing. You're not even hearing the burst. You think about it, you're not even hearing this guitar. You're hearing this dude playing it. You're hearing the guitar. You're hearing a cable. The cable goes into an amp. So now you're hearing an amp circuit, an actual circuit, right? A transformer, capacitors, a routing of a circuit, electrical circuit. That circuit then goes through tubes. So if you look at people who love tube amps, I love tube amps too. You have an ECC83, you have a 6L6, you have a EL84, EL34, you have 12AX7, you have 12AY7s, you have all kinds of tube configurations. Okay, you have tube rectifiers, you have solid state rectifiers, you have all these possibilities, right, of the amp configuration, which this guitar is passing through. This guitar signal goes out this cord into that configuration. So you're not just hearing the guitar now. It's not the burst that you're even really hearing here. You're hearing a signal from the burst. Now that signal passes through a cord, passes into this amp, and then it goes where? Into a speaker. Into a speaker. So now you're hearing the speaker. What kind of speaker are you hearing? Well, it depends upon what amp you're playing, right? So you have a speaker now. It could be an Alnico. It could be a ceramic. It could be what do they call it? Neodymium magnet. There's all kinds of ways that they can make a speaker. It could be a paper cone. It could be a hemp cone. It could be a 12-inch. It could be a 15-inch. It could be an 8-inch. It could be a 10-inch. There's all kinds of things that you're hearing outside of just the guitar. And then you have the speaker inside of a cabinet. So you're hearing the cabinet. Is the cabinet open back? Is the cabinet closed back? So we've already got, outside of the guitar, we've got a cable, we've got an amp circuit, we've got tubes, and we've got speakers inside of a cabinet that you're hearing. Now, in terms of you hearing the Beano record, the Beano sound, the only way you've ever heard a Beano sound is through a vinyl record or a CD made off of the tapes, whatever, through an outside source. Nobody sat in a room and heard the Beano tone. It's even, maybe Eric Clapton and a couple guys. How many of them are still alive? So you've only got a couple guys in the whole world that have ever actually heard the Beano tone from just Eric Clapton sitting there playing it in the studio. So we have to hear it through a CD, through a vinyl record. And how do we get that? It goes into a microphone. In this case, 2 microphones. So you have to have the amp mic'd, right? So you've got a cable, an amp, tubes, speakers, speaker cabinet. Now you're going into mics. And these all take cables. So now the mic goes into a mixing board. You picked out studios back in the day by the console they have. The console has a sound to it. A Neve console is prized for the sound of it. A Soundcraft board sounds different than a Neve board. It gives the sound a certain quality. So you're not even hearing the Beano. You're not even hearing the burst. You're hearing the console. You're hearing a signal passing through tubes, circuits, microphones. Now it's going into a console where it gets to be EQ'd. It gets to be compressed. Okay. Now you got outboard gear. Speaking of compressed. So your console, now you got outboard gear. So it goes into a compressor, goes into an EQ, right? Then it travels from the mixer into a tape machine, right? And tape machines, if you have a 1-inch tape that records 8-track, and you have a 2-inch tape that records 8-track, they're going to be different sounds. And even if you have a 1-inch tape that records 8 tracks, and you have a Studer or these different types of tape machines, whatever they had back then, in the studio, oftentimes you pick the studio based on the tape machine they were recording with, because the tape machine has a sound. The tape machine has a sound. They have plugins right now that imitate the sound of tape machines. So your Beano, your burst now, your Beano burst tone is colored by the tape machine. Okay, so now it goes on to tape. All right, so then when we mix this thing down, it goes into the board again, and then onto a master tape, right? And it could be mastered. You could take that master tape to another facility and have it go through another board to have the master tape come out of it. So you could have 2 consoles now that you have a sound of, and you have a master tape now that's been EQ'd, compressed, all kinds of stuff. Now you take that master tape and you take it to the record guys, and you go, okay, here you go, guys. And they press a master acetate off of that. Here's a master acetate being made. And your tape is mastered to go onto this acetate, so it sounds good. So now it goes onto a master acetate, then it goes onto your vinyl record. So then your vinyl record gets pressed off of this, right? Now your vinyl record goes home with you, right? And your vinyl record, you put a needle onto that vinyl record. So you have the sound of the needle. That needle goes to a tone arm. You have the sound of the tone arm. These, if you've ever been into audiophile gear, there are tone arms that are $17,000. There's tone arms that are $5,000. There's tone arms that are $20. Your tone arm makes a difference in your sound that you're hearing, your Beano tone, your burst tone. So your burst tone is now getting colored by a tone arm on your record player. Then your needle and your tone arm go through a home audio system, another amplifier. So now you've got 2 amplifiers. You've got the original amplifier that you played it out of, and now you've got to amplify the sound at your house for you to hear it from the record. So you've got an amplifier from the tone arm, and then it goes to more speakers. And that's where you're hearing, quote unquote, that's where the burst, that's where the Beano tone comes from. So the burst is a small part of a chain of events that get it so you hear the sound. You got the mind, you got the hand, you got the guitar, you've got the cables, you've got the amp, you've got the speaker, you got the speaker cab, you got a mic that goes into a mixing board, goes into effects, goes into a tape machine, comes back out to be mastered. It's put onto a master acetate. That's pressed into a vinyl record, which goes in through a needle, into a tone arm, into another amplifier, into your speakers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 processes. 18 steps before you hear the Beano tone. 18 steps from where you're getting this idea. Oh, the burst is the greatest sounding guitar ever. After it goes through a process of 18 different steps to get to your ears for you to go, wow, that's the greatest sound ever. How do you know it's not the tape machine that's the greatest sound ever? How do you know it's not the recording console and the mixing engineer that made it the greatest sound ever? How do you know it wasn't the way that it was mic'd that made it the greatest sound ever? How do you know this doesn't sound like any other Les Paul in the world? It's just it was mic'd in a certain way, so it sounds better. This is why I'm offering $5,000 to anybody who can pass this test, anybody who can guess the burst. You will get I'm putting $5,000 on the line. I'm putting $5,000 out for somebody to take, and I'm praying the experts come in. I'm praying you guys come in here and take this test, because you ain't going to get it. I'm so sure you're not going to get it. I'm offering you $5,000 if you can do it, if you can pick out the bursts in this sound example. Okay, so like I said, there's more than one here. Okay, now all you have to do in the comments is type out which sound examples are the bursts. So they're all numbered. I numbered them all for you. This took me hours, by the way. Guys, this took me hours. I mean, you're talking a ton of time to get the sound clips, to download the sound clips, to number them all, to put them all together. This took hours. Okay. So all you have to do is type in your comment the numbers, because it's more than one. I'm just going to give you a hint. There's more than one burst in there. Okay. All you have to do is type in the numbers. And if you type in the correct numbers and you guess which one of the bursts, you will get $5,000. Here you go. Now I'm going to post the results in 90 days. So you get 90 days, and you can delete your comment and put in a new one, but you can only put in one official entry. Okay. But in 90 days, I'm going to reveal the results. Okay. So you got 90 days. That's it. I'll see you next time.